Hey everyone, welcome back to the Passive Buddies podcast. And today, obviously, me and my co-host Brandon are going to cover how to learn about money. Let's go. Brandon, hit me. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. This is going to be an amazing podcast. I can already feel
it. I quite like this one, obviously, because it's obviously the fact that it doesn't get like taught in schools, like anything about this, is considering like they create a system where you're destined to earn it every single day. They do not teach you how to use it, leverage it, or anything, which seems absolutely bizarre.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's to keep the engine driving, right? We need people to work 60 years of their life so that they can really keep the economy going. Because if everyone's an entrepreneur or self-employed, then we'll all just be trading, and none of our taxes will go to the government, or more of the taxes won't be going to the government. So I think it is important to learn about money because it's power. It's how you learn how to leverage something to go faster.
100% makes sense. But obviously, based on that, obviously we need people to fuel it, like the engine, etc. So like obviously we teach a lot of people how to make money online and how to use like different things like crypto and like passive income, affiliate, all that type of stuff. So are you actually saying we don't want everybody to learn?
No, not at all. Because who's going to do the boring stuff? I mean, we do boring passive income, but who's going to do really the boring stuff, like pick up trash or keep our cities clean? Because if everyone's doing affiliate marketing or crypto, then there wouldn't be, just everyday jobs until we get enough robots. But until then, we won't.
So basically, if everyone carries on doing what they're doing, we're going to go turn into iRobot with Will Smith.
At some point, we'll have enough technology where a lot of the repetitive jobs that people have will be going away. I mean, we're coming out with like cars or trucks that transport all sorts of transport everything all across the country, and it's going to be driverless. So they're going to have machines that pick up from the trucks and put them on their sorting things, just like Amazon does. And it's going to be pretty crazy that, look at taxi drivers. They have Uber, and Uber is going to be going away with the iTaxi that Tesla's creating. So all sorts of cool things it's called iCar, I think it's called, where it's driverless like taxis, which I think is pretty cool too. So the world's changing, and I love it.
Yeah, which means obviously in that case you definitely need to learn about money because you could get replaced by a robot.
Yeah, I mean you can, but I think just learning the skill of money is very important because it allows you to do a lot of things.
So obviously with your like cash flow and assets, what has that allowed you to do?
Oh man. Well, we got married at a winery in California. So that was pretty nice. We've been to Bora Bora, Tahiti. We've gone to Hawaii a few times, Dubai. So lots of traveling. We have a 32 or 3,500 square foot house on a 9,100 square foot lot. Free time. It's time to spend with my wife, pay off her student loan debts. A lot of cool things, experience a lot of different food and culture, and gone to all sorts of different food. Just all sorts of different things that I get to experience life, which I am most passionate about because I love just trying different foods, trying different cultures, meeting new people all over the world. So it's a lot of, I think the best joy in life is just experiencing life. And so I think that's what money has allowed us to do. So I think, and then also it allows me to free up my time so I can come on a podcast at 4:00 in the morning and talk about money and then teach people. And that causes a ripple effect. So people are able to experience those same things.
Do you know what? Like, there's a couple of things there. Like, one is obviously the experiences. Obviously, you've basically bought an opportunity to experience more than what 90% of people will be able to do, the people who are stuck in the 9 to 5, etc. And then the second one was you're able to come on a podcast at 4 a.m. Now, I remember when you obviously first pitched the idea, obviously, about coming on the podcast, and you were like, honestly, Brian, it's like, I'm bored. I was like, what? I'm bored. It's like, everything's working for me. Money's working for me. People are working for me. It's like, I need something to do.
That's true. Well, and it's fun. I mean, I enjoy coming on and talking to you early in the morning because, I mean, we've always had a good relationship in previous podcasts. So I was like, it's just a match made in heaven.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And I think obviously like the lesson there is like, obviously you got to choose to obviously be a co-host on Passive Buddies, which obviously I'm super, super grateful for, as a fangirl over you on a previous episode. But as you say, like the fact that you were like, people say, don't they? Like, once I've got me stuttered out the way, people say, obviously, your job is to get money to work for you rather than you work for money. And you got to that stage completely where it was like, well, now money works for me like so much, like I've got that much free time on my hands. I need to fill it, which was quite good. So obviously, in terms of learning about money, I think the definition is Brandon Duff. How did you start your education on this? Because obviously, because we covered at the start, didn't we? Like, we don't get taught this. So how did you learn?
Man, well, my dad was an entrepreneur all my life. And so maybe like he didn't really teach me, but he taught me, I guess, business hard work as an entrepreneur. So I think that kind of sparked me also. But how I really learned is as a trainer. I was training people that were much more wealthier than I was at the time. And it's kind of funny. But they were teaching me like, well, one, they could afford to work with me. So that was number one, is people that tend to buy more expensive things tend to do pretty well for themselves. So they have kind of that mindset or that kind of philosophy of how to use money to make more money. So they were coming in at, 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, 11, 1. And I was like, how could you possibly like be coming here at 9 o'clock in the morning, at 10 o'clock in the morning, when everyone is else at work, and you can afford, $100 an hour, a couple times a week, 4 times a week. And it's because they had at that point, the people that I was talking to had either they own their own business or they invested in real estate. And so like, well, that's what I need to do, because I just need to just being with them and talking with them. I've kind of learned through osmosis and picked up kind of their strategies. And then I started investing in real estate, and I ended up having more rental properties than them within, a couple of years. So it was kind of funny, because when my mom actually was investing in real estate before I was, and now she comes to me and talks to me and asks me questions about real estate. So it's funny, because the student becomes the teacher at some point. Not all the time, but sometimes. And so it's fun to be able to learn from people that were kind of in the moment. And I think we talked about it in another podcast. I think it was Starting Your Own Business, where you should have someone that's kind of in the streets with you, and then you should have someone who's kind of one step ahead of you, and then you should have another person who's like 2 steps ahead of you. And that's kind of how I was. I was like 2 steps behind, where I was really learning from people in my circle in a sense. And then I had one person that had a step ahead, which was like my mom. And then I ended up passing at both of those groups of people. And now I'm the person that's 2 steps ahead. So it's pretty fascinating to kind of learn from like the people that you surround yourself with, because that's how you learn the most from is the people that you learn the most from is kind of who you are as a person. Like that's who you transform into being. And so that's been my experience learning about money is just through my circle.
we have covered the circle in a previous episode, but I think it highlights literally how important it is. Like, obviously, you were lucky enough well, not lucky. Luck doesn't exist. You earn everything, don't you? But like to the point of
there's luck.
You got yourself through your personal training involved with people, obviously, who were in real estate with passive income, and that became your circle because those were the clients that you had that you obviously had to surround yourself with because they were paying you to train them. But that allowed you, as you said, to be in that circle, to talk to those people, to learn those lessons. Like having those role models, mentors, and that circle is crucial to any sort of development. You obviously, just yours was all about money and passive income.
Yeah, I think that being in that circle, but then also that was only one circle. And I think you should have multiple circles and learn, because you can take different kind of tactics or strategies and apply them into different fields. And so from there, I started listening to Bigger Pockets, all sorts of different podcasts, all sorts of different books and reading. I mean, I have all sorts of different books from Slight Edge to Traction to, I can't read because I don't have my glasses on, how to find friends and influence people. So you start reading and start expanding your knowledge. And I think that's been a huge thing for me too, is I hated school. I think I got like a C in music appreciation, and I don't even know how you get a C in music appreciation, because how do you not appreciate music?
Probably that's a subject.
That's what it was. It was the subject was called the music appreciation, and I did not do well in it. I didn't do good in personal finance. I think I dropped out of that class. So I was not a school person, but I did like to learn. And so constantly reading, going to different events, going to reading different books, talking to different people. I watched a bunch on YouTube. So doing all these things kind of just continuously fill that knowledge gap and allows me to kind of use different strategies in different markets too, like taking what I've learned in real estate and applying it to crypto.
No, that makes sense. Do you know what though? Like, obviously, we spoke about school, and we've touched on it a couple of times, but like music appreciation as a class, like as something you study, like what?
It was in college, and that's why. It was more of understanding that, I guess, the differences in music. So like classical versus like rock versus, all these different things.
All I hear is space filler.
Yeah, pretty much. I think this is when I was going for, to get certified as a trainer, but I ended up just taking a certification program. But yeah, it was not anything for me, to say the least. I did not like college. It was, I think I dropped out twice. The first time because I was just lazy. The second time was because I ended up, I was making a bunch of money and I was going back for business, and I needed to take one last accounting class, and I just couldn't grasp it because I already had a CPA that I was hiring. So I always said that they should have just gave me an A in the class, because I already hired a CPA and I was already paying a CPA. So they should just give me an A for the class, but they didn't. And so, I just dropped out and figured it wasn't for me because it wasn't going to help me. And I was actually losing money by going to college because I was having to cut down on clients. I had to, spend more time learning about nonsense than actually taking it into my own regard and learning it for myself. So, and I constantly learn without education. And I think that's one of the most important things, that just being able to continuously learn helps people develop those skills. And you don't need to go to school to continuously learn. I think that a lot of people think once they finish school, they can stop learning and stop progressing. I think that's why it's not taught in school, because people aren't going to learn how to make more money and get out of debt. So they're constantly having to pay everyone else their wage and kind of be in financial slavery.
You nailed it, like near the end, didn't you? It's like people seem to think when they leave school, it's like bish bosh bosh, I am done. Don't even bother trying to teach me another thing.
Right.
And then they think they know everything they need to know to get by in life, and it's absolutely crazy because when you do, like, then you start getting right. Well, here's your tax bill. Here's this. Here's that. You need to pay for this. You need to do that. You need to learn that. You're like, what the hell? And that is the moment, because you just sort of religiously go, don't you? Like, you go to school because you're told to go to school, and you're just told, right, you need to be in school till you're 16, 18 and whatever, and you need to go to college, and you just go, oh, right, yeah, okay, that's sound. And it's only when you leave school and you get experience as an adult, you go, what was the last 10 years for?
Right.
Like, because I don't know this, I don't know that, and I don't know this. But some people go through life and they go, no, I've been to school, I got an A, or like done whatever, and it's like, I don't need to learn anymore. And that's possibly the biggest issue, isn't it? It's like, if you feel like you're done educating, you're only ever going to go backwards.
Yeah. And I mean, you really are just learning outdated stuff. I mean, did you learn cursive in high school or elementary school?
Learn what?
Cursive.
What's cursive?
Cursive, right? Well, we learned how to write in cursive, where it's like this fancy way of writing. We don't even write anymore. I'm writing right now, but
posh handwriting.
Yeah.
Posh handwriting. There you go. Trying to use big words.
So yeah, silly. And so, like, a lot of these things now, we have computers that do computations for us. So I don't know if they do it now. I'm sure they have to do it now, but typing classes are super important. I wish they taught that much earlier. But yeah, I think that, I don't know where we're going with that, but I think that they teach a lot of outdated stuff in college or in high school and elementary school. And it's just so that, I guess, they kind of limp over the bar. They get people to kind of just do the bare minimum in learning, versus people that like us, who constantly didn't do, for myself, didn't do well in school, but I love learning. And that's why I think the self-education is so important, because you really get to learn like new things that are happening in the world that are constantly changing with technology, with science. And it's just, I think continued education is super important.
Yeah, most definitely. And as you say, like, the outdated stuff that you get taught, is like me and my missus were chatting only the other day, because we're talking about like the concept of homeschooling, and it was a case of like, we were talking about history, and like she spent a year learning one thing in history. I was like, what's the point? I was like, yes, okay, understand the lesson. I was like, right. But it doesn't take 12 months to learn that, does it? Like, come on, it's, as you say, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Like, my school journey was a little bit different. Like, I wasn't bad in school. Like, I was never top of the class, but I wasn't far behind in a lot of subjects, so I was okay. I done something similar to you though. Like, I dropped out of college first time round. I was, do you know what, mate? It was bone of just laziness. Like, the college was 40 minutes away, and they wanted me up at 7 a.m. I mean, like, right. I didn't even make first lesson in high school. My last 2 years, I was like, no, I'm not getting up. So like, I dropped out of that one because it was just too far, and I didn't fancy getting up so early. Went back to college, got through the course that I wanted to get through, which was sport. And then I went to uni. Within, my missus says 3 months, but I officially left in the February, so I lasted about 6 officially, but I don't think I went past October. And I dropped out of uni because it was just, again, outdated stuff. Like, nothing seemed relevant, and they were just teaching off a PowerPoint slide, and it was just boring. So yeah, I dropped out of uni. I was like, this ain't for me. And then I went on to make a lot more money than 90% probably of people in that course.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, it is. It's madness.
Well, things like, I think it's really funny because with like, in elementary school, you learn about the cowboys and Indians and how they got along, and how, like, we founded America, and it was like, oh, we love each other. And then you get into college or high school, and destroyed like the Indians and were like genocide with smallpox and like blankets and like totally the opposite things. And you're like, well, I just learned a bunch of nonsense in elementary school to totally change my world in college, where totally the opposite thing happened, which is kind of interesting because then you're kind of learning pointless junk. And I feel like a lot of school is just a lot of wasted time, is so that you can think school is more like so you can endure like going and spending your 8 to 5, your 8 to 5 going to school, your 8 to 5 going to work, instead of 8 to 5 it's 8 to 2 or 9 to 3 or whatever sports was for us. For us it was after school, so it was like 2 to 5. So learning how to endure that constant I guess long material of not useless stuff is like your 8 to 5. And then obviously you have your breaks, your 15-minute breaks for snack in elementary school, and then your lunch break, which is at noon, just like lunch is for work at noon. So it's like I feel like school is just to train you to work a 9 to 5, because you're showing up, sitting down all day and eating at the same time, having lunch at the same time. So yeah, I think it's kind of just nonsense.
It's conditioning, isn't it? That's all it is. It's conditioning. It's conditioning for what they need, obviously, like for the factories, for that sort of work ethic.
Right.
And obviously, if you want to make sure you break out of that, it is about learning how money works, how you can leverage money, how you can buy income streams, like all of that type of thing. How you obviously make sure your negative or your cash flow is obviously below obviously what you're bringing in, and all those things is going to come from self-education. You ain't going to get taught in school. You ain't going to, like, if you want to be truly financially and time free, like it's down to you, and it's down to your own self-education.
Yeah, super important. And then from there, once you learn all that, you just continuously compound and create and grow your net worth, and you just compare it to yourself and don't worry about who's making more or less. It's just competing with yourself every single year.
100%. Try and get yourself obviously 1% better every single day, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously I think we've covered this one pretty quick. Final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's just continuously learning from different, I guess, marketplaces, from if that's real estate, if that's affiliate marketing, if that's crypto. Learn different strategies, learn how money works. Read a few books. I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad is a very common one. How to be a landlord, how to, just go on YouTube and start searching. There's a lot of great content. I mean, a lot of great books that are out there that I've read, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Compound Effect, How to Win Friends and Influence People, any of the Bigger Pockets podcasts, all sorts of different content. So just keep learning about how to leverage money as a tool to grow your net worth really, really quickly.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Shay, there's loads. Like, Shay, the books that you recommended, like you can't argue with them. They're just incredible, and it's just about being disciplined enough to learn about the subject that's actually going to set you free, rather than just working for 60 years, then retire and end up in the hospital for the next 20 years.
Yeah, read just 10 pages a day. I mean, everyone can do that. That's a ridiculous amount of books in a year, and you'll thank yourself for it. And that's just 1 year.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening and tuning in to the Passive Buddies podcast, and we will see you on the next episode.
Peace.